Welcome back to my channel, CEOs. In this video, I'm chatting with Texas-based luxury wedding photographer and videographer, Cayla Cummings, on how she's built a multiple six-figure wedding business and why she decided to invest in my highest level mastermind to help her take her business to the next level. All right, Cayla, I am so excited to finally get you in front of the microphone because I am obsessed with your business and I cannot wait for everybody else to get to hear about it too. So, we're going to have so much fun. Before we dig in to what our topic is today, can you tell everybody a little bit about your business, Carhartt Photography? Tell us what you do, where you're located, and how long you've been in business, all the things.
Yes, yeah. So I run Carhartt Photography. We're a wedding photography and videography team based primarily in Austin, Texas, although we traveled outside of the state before and we do a lot of Houston and Dallas weddings
Okay.
as well. I run the business initially with my husband, David. He heads the videography side of things. I head the photography side of things. But we have an associate team. We have a team of, oh my gosh, let's see, we have our videographer, Justin. We have 3 photographers that work with us. And then we also have back end. So we have a photo editor, video editor. We have an assistant, which helps us with all of the client communication, staying on top of timelines, family lists, all of that fun stuff. And we do over 50 weddings a year.
That's amazing. That is absolutely incredible. And how long have you guys been in business?
I would say we were running full time in 2019, which is when
Okay.
David went full time with me and we really just like took off with the photo video combo.
Did you always do video or did you start as photo and then add video once David joined?
We started as photo. I shot my first wedding in 2016 on just
Okay.
photography. And then, yeah, we were building from there. David started shooting with me, Taylor's oldest time, forced into it. And then at the start of 2019, he added the videography side of everything. We shot our first videography wedding in March of 2019.
Wow. Okay. Very cool. So you've definitely grown a ton since then. And I know that you have an associate team too, which I'm positive there's photographers that are listening right now that are like, ding, 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 tell me more about
Yes.
this associate program that you have. Cause I know it's pretty common in the photography and videography space to have associates, but I don't think it's that common to do it really, really well, to have it kinda
Yeah.
like a well-oiled machine. So can you tell us, like, when did you bring on your first associates, and were you nervous about it? Like, how has that gone?
I brought them on 2021 and I went back and forth about it for a long time. And I know if other photographers are listening, they definitely feel this way, which is that how can I trust somebody else
Mhm.
with like my baby of a business? And like, how can I trust someone else with clients and this is my name on this representing me. So I went back and forth on it for probably a year and a half, talking to
Mhm.
different people, really studying up on it. And I finally found a model that I really liked. And from there, I essentially put out an application on Instagram. I thought, no one's going to
Mm.
apply for this. I told David, my husband, no one's going to apply. It took me months to do it. He was like, just post it. People are going to apply.
Yeah.
And I finally posted it. We got 15 applications. I know. From there, we took those 15. We had everyone send us in those applications, they had to send us full galleries. I had a list of requirements. From there, we had 3 in-person interviews, and those were the people we'd narrowed it down to really to finalize everything. We brought on all 3 of those associates, and then one of them I wanted to talk to was living in California at the time. She finally moved
Okay.
to Texas, and then she came onto our associate team after she moved.
So crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's such a big leap, right, to trust other people with your business, but how do you feel like that has changed your business from when it was just you and David to now having a team of associates?
Oh, it's a good question. It's so much well, one, it's more fun, I think, than you might think. Like I think you get nervous, but it's so fun to be able to collaborate with the other creatives in your industry that just are really as excited about your business as you are. And it's
Yeah.
just so surprising, I think, if you can get out of your own way and put your own artistic ego aside. And there are people that are as good or better than you that will shoot with you. And so I learn stuff from our associates all the time. My details have
Mhm.
gotten better because our associate Tara is just such a phenomenal detail shooter. I've started shooting like her, and we can take these pieces from each other.
Mm.
And when talking to clients, something I've learned too is that we could take our 7 years of experience and the venues we've shot at, and that's all we have. Or we can have a collective 30 years of experience and have shot all the venues in the States as a whole team.
Yes. That's so, so smart. I love the way that you think about that. So, fast forward, you just said we're in 2024, right? So, we're at the beginning
Yeah.
of 2024. So, you're about 2.5 years into having associates. You've got a seriously legit photography brand, really, because it's not just you. It's not just like Cayla Cummings Photography. It is a brand that you've built with associates and things like that too. And I know that you joined my accelerator program, or really you jumped straight into the next level mastermind last fall. And so, can you tell me a little bit about that? If you're loving this video and you want to know more about how to double or even triple your wedding business this year, make sure to check out the Wedding Pro CEO Accelerator and make 2024 the year we level up your wedding business. Like, what made you decide to join that, but also kind of like what was it about your business that you were like, I know I need help growing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so I had been looking at the accelerator. I'd gone to the summit in
Yeah.
2021, and I had kept up with Brandy ever since and the group ever since. And the accelerator was reopening. It was going to be September at the time. I was going to the live webinars to learn more. I was really interested, but I know too a lot of the messaging was around six figures, and I'd
Mhm.
joined masterminds before that were trying to help you get to six figures or so, and felt like I had gotten past that. Our revenue the past couple of years was around like 350,000. So we're in the
Mhm.
multiple six figures recently. And so I was going back and forth. I talked to conveniently Katie from Scarlet Rose Events, is both an instructor in the accelerator and a
Yeah.
planner in my market who I work with a lot. And so I knew I could ask her. I knew how she knew how my business would work. And so she got with Brandy, went over my numbers, and they collectively said that, okay, maybe you should jump straight into the mastermind. I really wanted like someone to hold my hand and get my back end finances cleaned up, because we scaled pretty quickly, and everything was just
Yes.
in one lump sum. Nothing was organized. And so that was my focus, was the financial health.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And was there something like what I know that you're saying it was your back end.
Yeah.
What was it about? Was there a certain piece of content or something that we talked about on the webinar that made you think like, yeah, this can definitely help me, even though the accelerator is focused on, making that first six figures, the mastermind is really focused on, hey, you're already at multiple six figures. Let's scale that. Let's get you out of the day to day. Let's focus on becoming that CEO. Was there something that you heard or that since you've been
Yeah.
following along that you were like, yes, this is it. This is the time.
Yeah, I think the budgeting modules that were in this
Mhm.
in the accelerator, and even having jumped straight to the mastermind, going through those was something I was really interested in and really excited about. And having
Mhm.
those spreadsheets, I needed the accountability to force me to look at my numbers and
Mhm.
really keep track of all of those.
I think that's I'm so glad that you used that term specifically because I think it's so interesting when people are looking at different programs. It's like, well, what's really the difference? And the main difference, especially in my programs, but in a lot of programs, is really that accountability piece. It's like, in a main group program, of course there's accountability, but no one's kind of checking in, monthly, going, "Hey, did you do that yet? Hey, did you do that yet?" You have to be accountable to yourself, but in the next level group, it's like, Cayla, have you done this? Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
How are we moving this along? Right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And there's a lot of difference in just like the feel of the group. Like, I would say, even though there are other groups that propose high accountability, it still
Mhm.
feels a little bit more like you're on a conveyor belt, where this group, you really do feel like they care about my success. We're really in this together, and you really want to
Yeah.
make them proud as much as you want to make yourself proud, as opposed to being like, oh, I can ignore it, I'm just going to do whatever I want, which happens sometimes with other groups.
This is true. This is true. Both I've been a student in groups like that before, and I've been a student in groups like mine, which is what I'm like, I want to model it just like this because I've gotten so much out of this program. So I think that that is so helpful. One of the things that you said, and one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on the podcast, one, because you jumped straight into the next level group. And I know that there are people that are like you, that are like, I've been listening to Brandy, I've come to the webinars, but I'm already making multiple six figures. Like I feel like I'm past the accelerator. So what do I do? My first question, I'll pose it in two questions, is like, how has it felt jumping straight to the next level? Do you feel like that has worked for you, that you've been able to do some of the goals that you've set for yourself?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's worked really well. Going right in and just immediately starting with the idea of, okay, we're going to get all of the finances on the back end organized before the start of 2024. So I had a couple months to do that. And having those deadlines set, it was super helpful just immediately getting going from sole proprietor to S Corp to separate bank accounts to just everything all within 2 months.
Yes, it was so fast. You were
Yeah.
like slaying those to-dos too. I was like, "Girl, she is flying," which I love because as a coach, it's so helpful to see somebody that's taking what you're telling them and saying and just like, "Yep, I'm gonna knock it out. I'm gonna knock it out." So I think that that has been really fun to see. You also mentioned, you feel accountable not just to me and yourself, but to the group, right? As a whole. You've said you've been in other masterminds. This group is comprised of not just photographers, it's all kinds of different wedding pros, right?
Yeah.
So, how do you feel like that works out for you?
Yeah. Oh, I love. I said this about the Wedding Pro CEO Summit too, which is if there were photographers looking at it and thinking, "Oh, this is for planners." That I just think like as a photographer, how why would you not want to be in a room full of planners, understand how everything works? But but it
That's
is
very
great
true.
just yes, yes. But it is just great being in a group with planners, florists. We do have one other photographer who's modeling things a
Mhm.
little bit differently and just
Yeah.
comparing and contrasting everything, being able to take those different perspectives and notes and helping each other. I really liked being just kind of like mixed in with a few other different types of vendors.
Yeah, it's been really fun in the next level group, especially because everyone is so in tune with their business and what their goals are and like how they're going to accomplish it. So it's really fun to hear the different perspectives from different types of
Yeah.
pros. I think that's been a lot of fun for me as well. So tell me, did you have a goal for yourself when you came into the next level? What's your goal with the program?
I knew my goal. I know I've been talking about the finances a lot, but I knew my goal was like, I don't know beyond this point, just like how to do this. Like,
Mm,
who do you turn to figure out like how, when you've scaled to a certain point and beyond, who's the next person to be able to help you? And I feel like I'm always looking for that. And I really wanted to come in and have someone be like, oh, here are the next steps, both
yeah.
financially, both legally, and then also to have a group when you have a team and like I had one associate leave and it went great and it was and we're friends and it was no big deal, but it feels scary. Like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah.
This person's leaving. And just be able to like pop onto the messenger and be like, okay, this is happening and just feel much more calm about it because you have that support.
Yes, yes, that's so true. So one of my last questions is just, do you feel like there was a certain mindset you had to have to see success in the program? And I will say this caveat for everybody that's listening. The next level group is a 12-month program, and we're only 4 months into it. Like, not even 4 months. I think we're like 3.5 months. One of the reasons, though, that I wanted to have Cayla on the show was because she just had so much of a change right away. And I think a lot of it was because of the finance goals that you set. So I'm super excited to see what we do with the rest of the year and how that changes your business. But do you feel like there was a certain mindset that you had to have or that you would tell somebody that's coming into the program, "Hey, this is the mindset that you used that gave you some of that success?"
That's a good question. Before I do any next step, I just have to ask 1,000 people, and I'm always so nervous to do the next thing. I waited far too long to become an S corp. You can ask our
Mm,
money team, things like that, just dragging my feet. And so I think the mindset shift of just being like, okay, when I get that next task, I love how it's every 2 weeks, like having time to do the first task, getting the next task, and feeling like there's a deadline and just going in with the mindset of activity, going in and being like, I'm going to go ahead and actually just make these moves. I have this 1 year. I'm investing in this year. I think sometimes too, when people invest in education, they forget they've invested. They'll, you know, pay it forward and then be like, well, I don't want, now it's an obligation. It's annoying or I have
right.
to do this. And I'm like, this is something that's going to have a return if you can invest back into it.
Yes, 100%. I love that perspective, and I feel like I always have that perspective as well going into a program.
Yeah.
When you join the program, because you're a very established photographer, right? I know for me,
Yes.
when I was in the same phase of business that you're in right now, it almost felt like I was a little bit afraid to join a program or ask for help because I was afraid people would then realize like, "Oh, well, she doesn't have it together as it looks like from the outside." Did you feel any of that at all?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely had imposter syndrome all the time. I could definitely see that fear of like asking for help or letting people see behind the curtain. But with this group and with the CEO group, I think including the accelerator, everyone is so helpful and so transparent. Just like the entire group, I've gotten very quickly comfortable asking questions that normally, okay, well, let me think about this. Maybe this sounds dumb. Maybe I'll Google it first. Like, just like ask the question and getting the different perspectives on it has been amazing.
Yes, yes. Okay, I love that. And I think one of the trends that we're seeing with these interviews is that transparency. And to be honest, I guess because that's how the group has been since the beginning, I don't think about it a whole lot. But once I hear somebody say it, I'm like, you're so right. Like, it's so rare to feel comfortable sharing numbers when, honestly, especially inside the accelerator group, there are people that are doing, you know, 30, $40,000 in sales, and there's people who are doing $500,000 in sales. And so sometimes you can feel like, oh, I'm not big enough to share my numbers. But the cool thing is that the people that are further ahead than you are bringing you along with them. They're not like, oh, you know, you're silly. They're
Yes,
like, you can do it. Like, come on, I'm going to help you. So I think that's a lot of
yes,
fun.
yes, yeah. That's a mentality I picked up immediately
Mhm.
from the Wedding Pro CEO Summit when I initially met everyone too, was that this wasn't like a you can sit with us when you've done this or you can't sit with us
Yes.
or whatever. It was very much like, okay, yeah, we're gonna meet you where you are and this is how you get to the next part.
Yes, that's so good. You said that so perfectly. Okay, Kayla, if somebody is listening to this and they're a photographer, a florist, a DJ, a planner, stationer, venue, whatever, right? I try to name them all. But
Yeah.
whatever you are in the wedding industry, and you're already feeling like, I feel successful in my field. I know I'm successful, but I also know I don't know how to get to the next level. If somebody's sitting there in kind of that same shoes you were sitting in last summer, what would you say to them?
I would say one, keep looking for that continued education. I think at every level you have to continue to the next step, and there's always a next
Mhm.
step. It's easy once you get established to sit back and be like, I have my referral base. I can just let the stuff roll in and not worry
Yep.
about it or whatever. But if you have that drive and you're excited to continue to build the business, don't be afraid to join in and really like put in the energy.
Kayla, this has been so fun to get to just peel back the curtain a little bit. Thank you for being so transparent on this
Oh, yeah.
episode and letting us know a little bit more about your business. Hey, CEO, if this video was helpful, make sure to check out the linked videos in the description below to help you build a profitable wedding business that you've always dreamed of.